Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Mani Shresht, working as Assistant Professor at Haryana School of Business, GJ University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic Understanding Performance. Before starting the discussion, let's have a look at the contents. We start with introduction, then we try to elaborate performance, then factors affecting individual, group and organizational performance, components of performance, dimensions of performance, key concepts related to performance, and finally we try to summarize. To start with, let's have a look at the learning objectives. The first objective is to understand the relevance of performance in business organizations. Then, to get familiar with dimensions of performance in an organization. Every organization, in order to achieve its objectives, needs resources. Out of the available resources, such as man, machine, material, and money, it is the manpower that makes a cut out of the rest. The reason is only a man can utilize rest of the resources optimally. So, everything depends on the manpower, that how efficiently it performs. The dynamic nature of business environment is known for increasing complexity. In such complex environment, how an organization shall remain on course to achieve its preset objectives depends upon the performance of its manpower. Every individual working as an employee in a business organization has to come across a popular term, performance. Right from the entry into the organization till the exit, every employee is expected to perform. Performance can be observed as a result of set of activities to be performed within an organization in a given period of time. It is also considered as delivery of expectations by an employee within a given time frame. The performance of an individual in an organization could create a competitive advantage for an organization. It helps in dealing with the ever-changing challenges posed by the factors that are beyond the control of an organization. Employee performance is not a one-time activity. It is an outcome of series of activities performed by an employee under a given time frame. The performance of an employee is dependent upon various factors like motivation level, skill set, organizational policies, time availability, and coordination with other employees. A performing employee can do wonders for the organization. Let's consider some examples related to advantages of increase in level of performance. A student with increased level of performance can understand well and score better. A researcher can do in-depth studies on more relevant topics with improved level of performance. A salesperson can sell more number of units to more number of customers with better performance. A worker can save man hours and optimize resources with improved performance. With advancing level of performance, a manager can motivate and organize his team in a better way. Now let's understand the concept of performance in depth. To perform is simply related to do something, act, succeed up to or beyond a standard. It is to show something has been achieved up to a set standard under given conditions. It could be doing or showing doing an act or task. In business setting, generally performance means completing the assigned task with maximum productivity. It is to be understood that performance is considered not only for the individuals, but for departments, systems and organizations. To be considered as performance, an act needs to be performed, then it must be performed at prescribed level, and if possible it should cross the expectations to redefine respective performance. In an organization, performances are used to set standards, to teach and convince, to motivate and to change. Following are some acceptable meanings and definitions of performance. Performance is seen as a task in terms of how successfully it is performed. How well a person, machine, etc. does a piece of work is also known as performance. The accomplishment of a given task measured against preset known standards of accuracy, completeness, cost and speed also defines performance. An employee performance is whether the employee is performing all expected job related activities diligently. In order to perform, an employee needs to take up a chain of actions and apply skill as well as knowledge to get a worthy outcome. An individual can display performance in various aspects of life. Being a student of business management, these performance could easily observable under business setting. An employee working in an organization performs on several platforms. At the time of modifying the existing product design, the performance area of an employee is more of creative. On the other hand, at the time of giving presentation to a client, the performance area is selling. Similarly, at the time of cheering up a demotivated colleague, the performance area changes to life management. Also, when an employee identifies the key hurdles in the system and removes it, at that time the performance area shifts to troubleshooting. A performing employee is an asset to an organization. A higher level of performance could benefit the organization in many ways, such as it increases the satisfaction of stakeholders through meeting and exceeding the expectations, decreasing the wastage and eventually reducing the cost, increasing the skills and knowledge base of the co-workers, and finally, it increases the self-confidence and motivation of the employees as they are considered as professionals of their field. Higher level of performance displayed by an employee offers certain advantages such as increase in productivity, higher level of loyalty and commitment by the employee, better financial earnings, positive impact on the organization goodwill and increased job involvement. Factors affecting individual, group and organizational performance. To become competitive, every organization has to focus at individual performance, group performance and organization performance as a whole. For effective performance at all the three levels, it is important to know about various factors influencing performance at each level. Factors affecting individual performance. Attitude of an employee plays a pivotal role in defining his performance. An employee with negative attitude who loves cribbing about everything, a poor listener, is destined to perform badly. An organization, in order to do cost cutting, still working on outdated technology, is actually creating frustration among its employees and hampering their performance. An employee indulged in gossiping practice rarely performs well. Although considered as social activity, but tendency to gossip at working hours reduces the efficiency of an individual. Another major factor influencing employee performance is competency level of its boss. An incompetent boss can create an atmosphere of dissatisfaction and instability that eventually hampers performance. If the policy of the organization is not transparent, it increases the insecurity among employees, leading to extraordinary cautious behavior of the employee. It can result into below potential performance by the employees. Poor commitment level of employees also reduces the performance of the employees. In the scenario of downsizing, it is important to provide psychological support to the working employees so that they feel secure and perform up to their potential. Poor employee evaluation mechanism also results into a feeling of dissatisfaction and discrimination. Also, overloading your employees with excessive work might result into burnout and hence poor performance. Factors affecting group performance. A group is made of its members. If the members are not committed to work together, then the final outcome of their effort would be lower than the group potential. It is very important to generate synergy among the group members. Sometimes a group is too large or too small to handle a situation. So, an adequate size of the group has to be identified to make it effective. Every group is having unspoken and unwritten norms that relates to various activities of the group. If these norms are not in the right direction, it reduces the overall performance of the group. Every group requires a leader to provide direction to its activities. A group leader has to act as anchor to maintain the expected level of group performance. For this purpose, a leader has to use several strategies ranging from reward to punishment to the employee. Factors affecting organizational performance. Choice of an appropriate strategy under the given environment improves the performance of an organization. Other factors include relationship with customers, suppliers, intermediaries, and other stakeholders. Usage of information technology to take calculated decisions also improves the performance. Choice of an appropriate organizational structure, proper implementation, and periodical checks are also useful in improving the performance of an organization. Now, let us have a look at various components of performance. Seminal work presented by Don Elgar of University of Idaho in the book Theory of Performance states that achievement of high level of performance is dependent upon various components of performance. These components interact with each other to produce a valuable resultant. Unless all the components work in unison, achieving high level of performance remains a distant dream. The coordination of each component with others decides the high, moderate, or low level of performance. Following are the components influencing level of performance of an individual in an organization. First component is association. With the passage of time and maturity, an individual associates himself with the professional community of the related work. He starts looking at the field of specialization from the broader perspectives. He also strives to contribute to its associated professional community, but maintain his own uniqueness in the field. Through this process, an individual shares the identity of its professional community. Skill set. The next component is the skill set an individual is possessing while working in an organization. These skills are described as specific actions taken by individuals, teams, groups, departments to perform a task up to the desired level. Understanding or knowledge is a resultant of information level, awareness of concepts, familiarity with the theories, etc. Such knowledge is important for both individuals and groups. Knowledge could be acquired with experience or training. Situation. Situation encompasses all the factors which play an important role at the time of performance by an individual or group. It is related to the circumstances at the time of performance. Situational factors could be controllable or uncontrollable and influence the desired outcome of the performance. Personal factors. The condition of an individual at the time of performance matters a lot. The personal factors include both mental factors and physical state of the performer. On the other hand, under fixed factors, it includes all the variables which cannot be changed and are fixed. These variables are unique to an individual but influence the performance. An example of such a factor is genetic structuring of an individual. Dimensions of performance. To further enhance the understanding of the performance concept, it is important to look into various dimensions of performance. Rao explains in his book on performance management and appraisal system 6 dimensions of performance. Output. It is the most observable and visible dimension of performance. It is the resultant of all efforts made during the performance. Output could be understood in the form of volume of sales generated, number of products manufactured per hour, number of clients visited, number of queries handled per hour, etc. Output is presented in concise form and it is generally compared with set standard to check its effectiveness. Initial output could be taken as temporary standard and the bar could be increased gradually depending upon average standards of the industry for matter concerned. As outputs are easily measurable, it provides a good basis to start performance management activity. Input. The input dimension is related to the task needs to be performed by an individual. It includes the personal and fixed factors related to an individual, situational factors, time, availability of other resources, etc. Quality of input is directly proportionate to the quality of output. It is important to do adequate planning before putting forth the inputs. So, it becomes pertinent to check whether the individual is able, motivated and possesses adequate resources to perform. Another is time. Performance is always relative to time. Time acts as a controlling factor as well as it gives a basis for comparison. Time could be short, medium or long period. It could be seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months or years. The set standard and nature of task influence the role of time in performance. For example, an employee's performance could be judged every quarter or once at the end of financial year. The role an employee is playing in the organization also decides the context of time. So, overall, it can be stated that performance is related to time role, and situation. Here it becomes pertinent for an individual to get a fair amount of idea about the expected performance level under given role, assigned time, and circumstances. Another component is focus, quality, and cost. The other dimension of performance is focus. What would be considered as performance is influenced by the focus of performance. For example, for a salesperson, focus could be on increasing customer base or generating more margins. Similarly, focus of human resource manager could be to get new competent personnel or to increase the morale of existing employees. Focus could be on one or many other dimensions. Most prominent and contradictory such dimensions are cost and quality. It is very difficult to keep a check on both. All the performances should be checked in the backdrop of focus. Key concepts related to performance. Let's have a look at some of the key concepts which are related to performance. First concept is performance management. It is a planned and systematic approach to managing the performance of individuals, ensuring their personal development and contribution towards organizational goals. Another concept is performance appraisal. It may be defined as any procedure that involves setting work standards, assessing the employee's actual performance related to these standards, providing feedback to the employee with the aim of motivating that person to eliminate performance deficiencies or to continue to perform above par. KPA, also known as Key Performance Area, deals in identification of targets related to specific activities which are challenging and require extra effort on the part of an employee. KRA is also known as Key Result Area. It includes general areas of output for which a role is responsible. Performance monitoring. It aims to help the employees sustain performance at the planned level, enhancing individual competencies and making employees competitive within the organization for productive contributions. Performance counseling. The main aim of performance counseling is to improve the performance of an employee in a current role and at a particular career stage. Performance standards. A performance standards properly describes the job and act as a benchmark for evaluating the performance. It provides the basis whether the job is done at par with the expectations or not. Another concept is performance domain. These are based on the focus area of an organization for measuring performance. Performance domain can be mission performance domain, process performance domain, critical performance subsystem performance domain, or individual performance domain. Then the concept is performance ethics. It states the misuse of performance management system that enters into unethical zone. An unethical practice straightaway signifies poor corporate governance. Presence of poor performance ethics creates an environment of distrust and dissatisfaction among the employees. And the last concept is performance objectives. These are mutually agreeable targets for future performance of employees under the given period of assessment. Let's try to summarize what we have understood so far. Performance can be observed as a result of set of activities to be performed within an organization in a given period of time. It is also considered as a delivery of expectations by an employee within a given time frame. The performance of an individual in an organization could create a competitive advantage for an organization. Performance is to do something, act, or succeed up to a beyond standard. Achievement up to a set standard under given condition is also performance. Completing the assigned task with maximum productivity is the requirement of performance. There are various components of performance such as association, skill, understanding, situation, personal and fixed factors. The dimensions of performance encompass output, input, time, focus, cost, and quality. Thanks for listening.